You are here to prove that pretty much anyone can create and launch an NFT collection. Welcome to another episode. Mike is here with us today. And Mike, you're going to take us through Web3, NFTs, contract building, all of the confusing parts of developing and building a contract for an NFT collection. But it can be really intimidating and daunting and complex. I have no idea where to get started. I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. I don't know the first thing about contracts. It's overwhelming. And if it was me in that position, I'd probably give up a couple hours into that research after realizing what it all includes. I think that there's probably a better way to do it. So Mike, you are here to prove that pretty much anyone can create and launch an NFT collection or an NFT contract. Is that the right word for it?
Contract, program. I mean, these are all things that I guess we'll get a little bit more in detail on. When we got involved in this whole Web3 world, the technology component definitely stuck out to us as the piece of the puzzle that was most critical to making, obviously, the collection viable, to make sure that the NFTs were secure and that everything was in place accordingly. And there was an enormous amount of complexities to building this code, building these smart contracts. I'm not a software engineer, full disclosure on that. I'm an ops guy, so I found a problem in trying to identify the easiest solutions to understand the technology, and therefore did my digging, due diligence, and research to figure out the best solutions. So the technology side of Web3 has really been a major barrier to entry, not just for creators, but also for consumers. Mm-hmm. And, I've repeatedly said it this way, that until there's an app that makes you waffles, people will never truly understand or accept the technology, right? I mean, that's just the reality of the world we live in today. Over the past year, there have been a number of platforms that have emerged, which have really taken the whole coding and the whole contract side of things and put it not necessarily in that comfy app for waffles context yet, but it's getting close. And it's exciting to see the evolution of a really cool technology now becoming more user-friendly. And if we want to compare it to things that we're already accustomed to, rewind time, 20, 25 years, most people couldn't build a website. There was a lot of intricacies and a lot of coding efforts that were required into getting a website the way you wanted to. And nowadays you have platforms like Wix, like Shopify, like WordPress, more user-friendly applications that allow for creators to really dive into the technology and have more of what's basically known as a drag and drop model, which is very user-friendly. It's very easy to adopt that type of technology. So we're going to say a lot of big, scary words in this equation, and that's just due to the fact that that's really the way that things are explained in the space. But each one of those has a very simple underlying definition that I hope, will clear the air a little bit.
Let's start at the basic level, NFTs and the concept of a collection and how contract fits into all of that.
Sure. So the term when you hear the term contract, you think that it was reviewed by an attorney. There's a line at the bottom where you sign and you date, and then all of a sudden you're bound by these specific terms. To an extent, something similar, except it's all in this digital computer generated concept, right? So I would actually refer to it more as a program than a contract, right? A program follows a very similar set of logic where there's an if-then moment. The program has specific variables that are defined, which makes the contract or program function based on the user's interaction with that, right? So think of any traditional computer program. You had to hit record and start in order for this program to start running, right? The smart contract is no different. Best way to explain this is you take a smart contract or a program and you take that and you infuse this into this invisible highway in the sky, which we're going to call the blockchain. Okay. There's several different highways. There's the Ethereum blockchain, there's the Bitcoin blockchain, there's all these various highways. You take this special code and you infuse that. So it's there forever. Nobody can remove it. You can't delete it. All of the information, all of the variables that are pre-imported into that are infused into that blockchain. From that contract or that program within the blockchain, specific tokens can be extracted from the contract, which are linked back to the contract which is subsequently fused to that blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Those tokens represent a portion of that overall contract or program. So that's what an NFT is. An NFT is a token that is minted from that contract infused into this invisible sky.
Why would anyone want to create a collection of these tokens?
So there's a million different reasons for that, right? I mean, you have business related applications, you have artistic and collection based applications, you have gaming applications.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is it's just an additional tool or technology piece that you can incorporate into whatever you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. That's really the general understanding of it. The collection itself creates a level of, well, if you don't have a piece of this contract in the form of a token, then you're not part of that contract. So the ownership level of being a part of that community / contract / program is an actual ownership of the token that's extracted from it.
Would it be safe to say that in order to have a collection of NFTs, you need to have a contract?
Yes.
Okay.
A contract is required. Yeah, a contract is required in order to extract tokens to create your collection.
Okay, got it. There are now these like low code, no code sort of tools that just make it more user friendly and accessible for anyone to dive in and be able to launch NFTs using a tool like what we're going to talk about today, Nifty Kit. So my 2-part question is, number one, what is Nifty Kit? And number 2, how do people do it before this? Like, was it all just manual development, coding, and like hacking away into the wee hours of the night to get the contract manually configured?
Nifty Kit has a version of those contracts, and there's specific input variables that they have incorporated into their custom version, which allows the creator to create a more custom experience using an input that you use the Nifty Kit platform to achieve. So rather than writing out all the code of, hey, I want this in my contract, they have a simple fancy button that you select, you drag and drop, and then you can deploy that function within the contract.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a no code or low code, web design environment in a sense where, sure, you could manually code all of the different sections and style sheets of your website by literally typing in all of the pieces of code, or you can use something like Wix or like a WordPress builder or Webflow to just literally drag and drop it. So are you saying that Nifty Kit is really just like the interface that enables those contract edits and configurations?
Yes. 100%. Okay. It is an interface. It is a dashboard. It is an air traffic control center for you to not only deploy, but also manage your smart contracts as they are infused into that blockchain.
And are there other tools like Nifty Kit? Because I know it is a relatively new, like even just in the last year. Like, how long has it even been around?
I would say it's been around. I'm sure it's been in development for a little bit longer, but I mean, I came across it in and of around May is when I jumped into the platform, and I did a lot of research before, and there wasn't really those solutions available at the time, which were very user friendly, right? Like there were some out there where you can just input certain things and then you can just say, hey, I have a smart contract. Nifty Kit left a lot of doors open, which allowed for a lot of pivots and a lot of modification to things along the way. There are more and more popping up all over the place. And we have to also remember that there's multiple blockchains. Those multiple blockchains have different types of codes / programs that are requirements in order to infuse and create that collection / smart contract into that blockchain. Nifty Kit is specific on the Ethereum network. So it uses Optimism, it uses Polygon, it uses all those offshoots. So their contracts right now are the ERC 721 and the 721A. Those are the two various types of contracts that you can select in creating on Nifty Kit. And then you can deploy that to the various chains accordingly. Okay. So I'll go ahead and I will attempt to share my screen here and we can walk through it together. So very simple, niftykit.com. And then what you're going to need is what's called the drop kit. So the drop kit recently has incorporated a token gated access channel in order for you to access and deploy these contracts using their system.
So the only way to get membership to Nifty Kit is to have a drop kit, which is an NFT?
Correct. Right now there's 3, actually there's 4. They added the team pass, which I guess is more custom. But there's 3 different versions of this pass, and they go from 0.069 ETH to 1 ETH all the way up to 10 ETH. And each one comes with a variety of different benefits and use cases. So it is a membership tiered level package. Each one comes with various different things. The primary difference, in my opinion, at this point, is the percentage that Nifty Kit will take by you deploying the contract on their system. So first step would be to have one of these passes. Once you have one of those passes, you would actually have to connect your pass. So you would connect your wallet using, MetaMask, Coinbase, whichever one it is. So this would essentially be your home page on your own dashboard. So as you can see, you have your own profile, and then you have various different tools that you can incorporate in developing your contracts. The most commonly used element would be a standard drop. So here's where you can see a collection of all the drops that you've created. These are the collections and contracts that you have deployed to the blockchain. I have a series of test ones that I've deployed as well. There's a lot of different variations of things that you can create. But I think one of the cool things is that we can sit here and we can create one together. And I can show you the step-by-step process. It's not difficult. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to create one. We're going to create a drop. And these are the various chains that you can layer it on. So as you can see, everything is based off the Ethereum network. So you have Ethereum, Polygon, Optimism, and this new one, which they recently just launched. It's another layer 2. There's different benefits to all these. I mean, I would recommend that you look them up. Primary difference between Ethereum and Polygon is obviously the cost to do various transactions between the NFTs. Polygons are pennies. Ethereum mainnet is a little bit more expensive, but it's also the one that you can really generate the most exposure and revenue on within the various marketplaces. So we're going to launch ours just for simplicity purposes on the Polygon network. These are the 2 types of contracts that I was referencing earlier, these boilerplate versions. So you have your ERC 721 and then you have your ERC 721A. The 721A is a little bit more optimized for gas purposes. Gas is your transaction fees whenever you interact with the blockchain. So the 721A is the one that's usually the one that's most cost efficient. OpenSea, which is a very common marketplace for transacting NFTs, they recently introduced a royalty registration. So we're going to use OpenSea's royalty registry. We're going to continue it. And now here is where we're going to import some of the major details on this. And I'll pull up Etherscan. So Etherscan is basically a website dedicated to reading the smart contracts that are deployed to the blockchain. Okay. It's a very useful tool where you can see the open-ended transactions. You can see which holders are holding the NFTs, which ones have traded, which ones have put them up for sale. It's basically kind of like an X-ray into the entire application and transaction portal that have occurred with the contract that you deployed. Every time you interact with the blockchain, technically that's a transaction. And this token tracker has a name and a symbol. That name and symbol are elements that are defined when we're creating our contract here. So our contract name is going to be the sauce test. Contract symbol, keep it the same. Nifty Kit actually creates a custom URL for your clients and your team, your community to be able to mint from the contract using a Nifty Kit dedicated URL, which is another really cool attribute to this. So we're going to continue. This is where we would import our primary and our secondary sales addresses. You can create custom splits. So for example, if you and I wanted to create a 50-50 split, I would be able to take your contract, your wallet address, import it in next to mine, and then we can figure out the percentages on what you get versus myself.
Okay.
And then there's secondary sales. Secondary sales are any transactions that occur on secondary marketplaces like an OpenSea or a Rarible or any of these other various transaction portals. Those are defined with a specific percentage, and then everything moves forward accordingly from that. So we're going to have to define that. So I'll just take the standard contract address. That's, kind of a dummy wallet. I'll just throw in a percentage of 2% just because, and I'll click continue. So now we have the basic framework of our contract pretty much set up, just the basics of what we need in the contract. Now we're going to have to upload an image. This is a test deployment using Nifty Kit. This is our product description. Now, all of these elements can be changed once we deploy the contract.
So is this the same information that like reflects in OpenSea when you see it? Okay, when you see a collection starting
at first,
up,
yes.
Okay.
But you can independently edit that on OpenSea.
Okay.
So this is basically like, hey, OpenSea, this is what we have. But now you can go into OpenSea and you can change all the different variations of it. So we're going to continue. And now we have the draft of our contract pretty much set to go. So we can either create it or we can save it as a draft. We're going to save it as a draft for the time being, just because we're going to show a couple different bells and whistles that I guess it has. So as the contract is being drafted, as everything is being saved, it's taking the template contract that I selected, which is the ERC 721A, and it's applying the variables that we just imported in as part of what we want to show within our contract. Now, there's in the dashboard, this is the collection, this is the drop or collection dashboard. So here is where we're going to basically play air traffic control center. Okay. We have the ability to view our overview, which is, how much, in this case, Matic, because it's on the Polygon network, and Matic is the token associated with Polygon. If this was Ethereum, this would say ETH. So this would show all of the balance and the total amount that's been earned after I deploy the contract, how many people have purchased it. It's basically a snapshot of how your collection is performing. Dune is an external platform. It's basically like an analytics page. So you can see kind of like who's interacted with it, which community members are associated with other projects. This is a whole different discussion. Okay. But that tool is directly linked with your collection now.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you just have to, if you want to access Dune, you just have to go through here to do it.
You just click on your collection and you click view more. Now, our collection didn't appear because we did not deploy the contract to the blockchain yet.
Got it.
Okay. So technically, this is just a draft. We don't even have a contract address dedicated to this yet. Okay. So how do you create elements within your collection? Well, let's go to our NFT page. Right now, there's nothing here. We did not import or create any NFTs at this moment. Okay, so as you can see, there's a couple different options here. First one is we can add NFTs manually. Okay, so if you wanted to add them one by one, you just click Add NFT. Your token ID is going to be always in sequential order, starting from 1. Okay. 1 to infinity.
Got it.
So manually adding our NFTs, we're going to upload an asset. We're just going to randomly take a photo. We'll do a drawing that Frank and Chris Delanatra put together. This is a scroll.
Is there a size or spec limit to the file type you can upload?
There are. All that is in the documentation with Nifty Kit. They are very large. You could do MP4s, you can do GIFs, you can do JPEGs, you could do PNGs. I'm a square kind of guy, right? So like I like to keep the files in square format, and I'll show you why in OpenSea directly. So this is really where the platform where a lot of people will reference their NFTs. And OpenSea, as of yesterday, did another update where the image of your NFT is gigantic. Which really brings out a lot of the detail within the NFT. If you were to click on it, it will open up as an individual pop-up. But you really want the square element to coincide with the marketplaces where people are accustomed to looking up their products. Heading back into the dashboard, so our art has updated. It's uploaded in there. Our token ID is starting at 1 because this is the first one we're creating. We're going to name it a title, so we'll call it The Sauce. And that title is what appears here.
Got it.
So that would be the title of the NFT. This could be customized with emojis. It does not need to have the number. It can literally be anything you want. I'll pull up another collection just to show a different variation of it. So this is the Unfantasy Owner's Pass collection. And as you can see, the title is actually the team name of the particular owner of this project.
Nice.
Okay, so it could be completely customized. All of this can be done at any point, by the way, which is another cool feature that Nifty Kit has with this.
Even after it's been minted, right?
Even after it's been minted.
Nice.
The artwork can be modified and edited. the description, and the title. The only thing that cannot change after it's been minted is the token ID, because that will be a token that's extracted from that invisible highway that cannot be changed or altered. That token lives in somebody else's wallet. They own that token forever, or until they get rid of it. The description of the NFT is the description that comes down here. So you'll see that there's a description that is associated. 99.9% of the time, these are consistent on every NFT in the collection, but they can be customized for each NFT as well. So, for example, if this owner wanted to create a storyline based around their team, they could, and that would appear in the description of this particular NFT and not any other one. So we're going to do this, the sauce test. Call this the sauce test number 1. We can also add different elements in the metadata for this particular NFT. So if we wanted to add properties to it, we can say that the background is clear. We can say that the artwork is Frank and Krista Lanatra. We can add any other variations to this as well, right? Like what attributes does this image have that defines it within this collection? That's really what the metadata is. So we're going to leave it at 2 for the time being. We'll save those changes.
And there's no limit to like those property types?
There are no limits to the property types. However, it does get busy on, some of the platforms that you want to see it on, right? So there's different variations and different ways that you can add metadata. And I found a bunch of different tricks that's more of a technical discussion. This is really kind of like the basics of it. So that's the first way that we can add NFTs to a collection. The second way, which I will close all sorts of windows. The second way would be to add a CSV file, which contains all of your necessary metadata accordingly. Okay. So for example, this is just a sheet that I used to play around and to put things together with. So you'll be able to see that the metadata itself can be defined within what's called JSON codes. Okay. JSON scripts are one-line scripts that have all of the information for the various input that you're trying to define within that particular token. I'm getting very technical, I realize that, but there's a method to the madness. So the metadata is what is visible on chain, right? That is what these platforms like OpenSea extract, and they put it in this nice little fancy blue box for people to be able to see. But behind the scenes, this is what the metadata actually looks like. Okay, so you can see that like the name of the NFT, first and 70.3. The description, we went over that. We showed where that comes from. The owner's pass is part of the inaugural season. You can see that displayed here. The parody logo in this case is Carolina. You can see that displayed there. Then there's a few different other attributes which are more defined on numerical values versus name values. These are just different things. But to construct that just in a simpler way and as a larger collection, you can create these templates, and these templates have, all of that JSON code defined, and you would just import all of the different attributes accordingly. So you would have, like in this case, the offense, you would have the team, you would have the other team, you would have the background level, all of the areas.
Row by row or column by column?
It's row by row.
Okay. So each row is its own token, and all of the metadata for that token lives in each column.
Correct. I'm going to actually pull up a more friendly version to be able to study with this. Okay. So this is that Unfantasy Team project, right? So this is the playing card collection. So as you can see in the playing card collection, all of the metadata starts here. So if I wanted to write one of the metadata scripts as part of the JSON, I have the definition of the category, which is this right here where it says owner's pass. So that's defined in this particular section. So that's the same for all of the NFTs. Okay. Each individual trait is therefore defined on the row by row. So this would be token number 1, token number 2, token number 3, and so on. So in this case, you have the scoring category for token number 1 is offense. The team card is Kansas City. The background is Miami. And then it gets into some of the other traits, which some tokens may have and others may not. And this is really where you get into the rarity components of the collection, the different variations of the collection, and you can kind of get a snapshot in this Excel or spreadsheet format in an effort to import all of that data, right? So when you have all of your tokens imported with all of the various attributes, you can then create a script. Now, this script is a unique and it's going to be a long script, right? So this script, which you can see up here, is just a combination of all of those things that we just imported into our spreadsheet. Okay. You would take that information and you would put that into a CSV format where, according to Nifty Kit, you would name the NFT, you would put the descriptions of the NFT, and then here is where you would put that JSON script.
Got it.
Okay. And then the following one is a link to where that image is held. In this case, those images are uploaded to IPFS, which stands for the Interplanetary File Storage System. And it's basically just this internal or this external platform, which creates this little line code, which defines my image.
So how do you get those up there and get that URL?
So I use IPFS directly as a desktop app. I go into my files. I can go into my Parity Tees collection. And here's where I have all of the image files for the entire collection defined. So each one of those spits out an organic script, right? An organic code. And that organic code is imported here as part of the image itself. So if I were to look up, for example, I'll go back to my Parity Tees and look up token number 1. So as we saw, token number 1 is the offensive card. It is Kansas City with a background of Miami. If I were to look up what that card it looks like on my IPFS, you can see it's the Kansas City card, it's the Miami background, and it's offense. So this is actually where the blockchain is pulling the image file directly from this IPFS source.
Got it.
Okay. So we'll back out of this. We'll go back to our spreadsheet. So once you have all of these 4 categories imported into your CSV file, you would simply just go back into your Nifty Kit. Then you would click add NFT, import metadata, which is here at the top of the screen. You import the metadata, and then they give you a few different options because they are starting to incorporate themselves with external solution providers. You know, companies like Hashlips, Bueno, NFT, Initor, all of these types of companies provide that information after you upload the assets to their system. So you don't have to use IPFS. You don't have to use any of that stuff that I described. Those are just more hands-on solutions for you to get access and complete control of your collection.
Got it.
So you would simply just import that CSV file. Once that file is imported, those NFTs will appear sequentially here. Now, if I wanted to create, I'm just going to throw together another random one.
And when is it best to manually do it versus using the import function?
I mean, if you're going to have a small collection of, let's say, 5 or 10 NFTs, then, manually importing them, not a big deal. Okay. If you're going to have a collection of 500, 10,000, whatever, you definitely don't want to do that one by one.
Yeah, agreed.
So right now, as you can see, I have in my collection, I have 2 random NFTs, and they're both displayed here on the dashboard. If I, for whatever reason, decided that I didn't want the scroll to be token number 1, I wanted that to be token number 2, it's simply a drag and drop.
Oh, nice.
And now that token becomes token number 2.
But once the contract is deployed, can you still make that change?
You can.
But does it change the token ID number?
Okay, so the token ID number does not change. The information behind the token will change.
Got it. Okay.
So this is kind of where there's a gray area in the use case of how applicable this is, right? So we're talking about a DeFi system, a system that has a big issue with trust. This whole technology element of NFTs and Web3, there are there are limitations on what you're able to do. And from a community perspective, you want the assurances that your assets cannot be tampered with. Right. NiftyKit allows the owner of the contract to be able to make any of those modifications. So that's an important thing to understand. Now, all of those things can be put to good use, which we can go over as well. And, for example, dynamic metadata and changing the metadata on a daily, weekly, monthly basis based on user interaction, based on statistics in a game, based on all of these different things. You can update all of those elements on chain using the platform.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. So now that we have our 2 NFTs, we can actually deploy our contract. So we're going to create our contract. I'm going to have to switch my wallet to the Polygon network because I'm on the Ethereum network. Okay. So my wallet has successfully connected on the Polygon. Now I'm just going to create my contract. So it's going to give you a little kind of brief overview on which contracts are in the treasury and the royalty, the ones that we defined earlier. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead
and they're all the same in this case, right?
Yep. In this case, they're all the same for simplicity purposes. So now I'm eligible to create the contract, and I'll pull this in so you can see the transaction occur. So as you can see, the estimated gas to deploy the contract is about $0.01. And if I really wanted to go lower, I'll go lower, and I'll just see how that works as part of the market being able to confirm the transaction. So I'm going to confirm the transaction, and we're now going to take our The Sauce test contract, and it is currently in the process of deploying to the blockchain. Now, here is a really, really important feature that NiftyKit offers. So NiftyKit offers a layer where you can access and modify all of the metadata without making calls to the blockchain. Now, what does all that mean? Everything that you saw that was stored on IPFS, if I wanted to change that and it was linked directly to the blockchain, I would have to pay gas fees every single time I wanted to make that change. Mm-hmm. NiftyKit adds a layer in between that where we can make those modifications to NiftyKit. It will change in real time on the blockchain, but it doesn't require a transaction fee.
Got it.
So we're going to store the metadata on NiftyKit's API, and therefore you can always change this later, but therefore we won't be subjected to any of those fees thereafter. So we're going to apply now. That's going to cost us another transaction because this is a call to the blockchain. As you can see, because it's poly, it's fractions of pennies. We're going to confirm that. Wait for that transaction to get confirmed. There we go. And now we have access to our contract using the NiftyKit dashboard. Our contract has been confirmed. So, as I mentioned earlier, NiftyKit creates your own drop page, right? So you have your page where it shows how many NFTs are minted, whether the mint is open, so users can actually mint from this particular page if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And then going back into our dashboard. So right now our contract is live, but our mint is not open, right? So there's a few different options on what we can do with respect to having the mint become functional. Mm-hmm. So as the owner of the contract, you always have the opportunity to airdrop tokens from your contract. So you can either upload a batch of people to sequentially send them those tokens, or you can individually airdrop them by importing the quantity and the wallet address on which one is getting which NFT.
Got it.
You would then be able to send them to the respective person, and then once that transaction clears, it ends up in their wallet.
And you could do this like before it's revealed?
You can do this before reveal. You can do this before the mint has even opened. The contract is deployed currently. The mint functions only allow external users the ability to extract the tokens. But you as the contract owner, you can do it at any moment.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we wanted to create our, actually at first we have to set our pre-reveal image. So what our pre-reveal image is that in the event that and we'll use another icon from Food Fight, if the tokens get minted and the reveal of the metadata and artwork has not occurred yet, this is the image that will appear. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is what is defining the token until you actually release the actual definition of the token in the form of the metadata. So we'll call it pre-reveal image. We can add properties to that if you want to. Most people don't, because they're very temporary, these images, until the project gets released. So we'll apply that. Okay, so now that that's defined, we can now go in and we can prepare our drop. Now, there's a few different options here, right? You can prepare your drop in the form of a waitlist. Now, what is a waitlist? A waitlist is basically a collection of wallet addresses that you can create on your collection page where people can say, hey, I'm interested in your project. I want to join your waitlist in order to be notified and to become, I guess, an exclusive drop collection group of people that have access to mint when you designate that. Okay, so right now my wait list is open. If I were to refresh my, actually I didn't even need to refresh it, but now on my drop page on Nifty Kit that's created for me, I have a pre-sale registration form where I can join the wait list. This is a form to collect those addresses in order to import them in. So for example, like with the wait list, there was also another thing that you saw, which was pre-sale, which we'll get into in a second. Pre-sale list is the white list / allow list in Nifty Kit lingo. So if I wanted to confirm the wait list information, I'd put in my address. I'd confirm that I am human. I'd point out where all the grapes are. It's crazy that that is really what defines this whole thing.
They've really gotten them to be pretty complicated these days.
Well, we have platforms which can literally create AI generated art. Right? So, okay, so thanks for joining the wait list. Looking to create your own, sign up for Nifty Kit. They throw a little plug in there for themselves and they close it. So now back in my dashboard, I'll go ahead and I'll refresh. That address that I added is now in my pre-sale list. Okay, so all of those get dropped into this particular format. You can obviously upload as many as you want as well. If you wanted to add them manually, you could. You can upload another CSV file. And then once you're done collecting all those addresses in the pre-sale format, we're going to go ahead and we're going to stop our wait list. So that therefore this will no longer be activated. People cannot import their own information in order to be on that pre-sale list. So that pre-sale list is done. It goes back to the mint page, which at this point is closed. And then I can go and I can now prepare my drop. Now there's two options for preparing your drop. You can have the drop only accessible to the people defined within this pre-sale list, which again are people who signed up on that wait list or people who you have manually imported, or a combination of both. We'll do the pre-sale list first. Both of these are exactly the same. It's just a matter of who has access to mint. So here's where we're going to define the amount of NFTs in this drop, right? So this is where we're going to define, quote unquote, the initial max supply for me to be able to mint. So for example, if I said I wanted to open up my mint for the next 3 days, and in those 3 days, there's only going to be 500 tokens available. It's either the 3 days finishes first or the 500 tokens finish first, whichever happens, but that's the maximum supply that we're making available in this period. We would enter that maximum number here, and that maximum number would appear as a number that's allocated into this particular drop. If I stop my drop and I start another one, I can have a new maximum supply. So this is not set in stone. This is only set in stone for that particular drop. If I wanted to change that, I would be forced to make a call to the blockchain, which then costs gas.
Okay, quick question. So can you have multiple drops under the same contract?
In the Nifty Kit version, you can only deploy one drop at a time. But I can I can start a mint and then I can stop it. And then I can start it again under different variables and different perimeters. And then I can stop it. Right. So I can, for example, for the pre-sale list, which is what we're doing now, I can make it a cost, like the price. I could do 0.0001 Matic. Right. And we'll call this, how many NFTs are in this drop? We'll just say 1. Okay. The maximum number of NFTs per wallet that's eligible to mint, we're going to put that as 1. The maximum per mint, meaning like the maximum number of NFTs in each transaction, is going to be 1. If I wanted to change this to 5, it won't let me because the max per wallet is still 1. So it has to be a number greater, equal to or less than the number in your wallet. So we're going to keep that as number 1. And then I'm going to start my pre-sale. As you can see, it's a call to the chain. So there is a gas fee associated with that. In this case, Matic. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to confirm that. There we go. Okay, so now my mint has started. My pre-sale has started. If I go back to my claim page, I'll be able to see the mint has started, and I can mint it for that number. Now, I'm going to send you this link in this chat. Okay, so if you click on that link on your end, and I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share yours.
Okay.
So if you click on that link, you'll see that the mint is activated, but your address, the address for your wallet, is not connected to the pre-sale list, right? Like you did not use your address as part of the allowed people to be able to mint right now. So you're connecting. You're going to have to switch your wallet to Polygon. So click on that, and then you're going to see your MetaMask pop up. You just have to confirm that you want to switch to Polygon. Okay, so you see it's read your wallet and you're not part of the pre-sale list, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen again. So now my wallet is connected to the drop page. I have my mint button. I'm going to select my 1, and now I'm eligible to mint that token. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to confirm the mint. And now you're going to see, like, we put a max supply of 1, right? That's all that was eligible to be minted in this particular drop. So you're going to see that now that was minted, my collection in this drop has officially sold out.
Nice.
Because 1 of 1 has been minted. So now I'm going to go back to my drop overview, and I'm going to see that I'm going to refresh the page. I'm going to see that 1 of 1 NFTs have been minted. And this is the total amount of money that has been collected, 0.001 Matic. I'm going to go into my NFTs, and now here's where I can kind of see some information on it, right? So I have this particular NFT, which has been minted, but it has not been revealed yet. It's still hidden, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop this sale. We have our NFT, which, you know, it has not been revealed yet. It has been minted. So let's see what this looks like as part of the collection, right? So we deployed our contract, which means our contract has a contract address. It's very similar to a wallet address. So we're going to be able to see that using our drop, our Nifty Kit claim page or our mint page. You're going to see this little ether scan icon. If you click on that, it's going to bring you to Polygon's version of that, which is called Polygon Scan. So here's our contract, right? Our contract is now visible on this Polygon Scan, very similar to ether scan. So you can see that that contract has that contract name, that contract symbol, everything we defined when we deployed that contract. It also has a set of the transactions that have already occurred on this contract. So we set the base URI, which is basically us deploying the contract. We started our sale, and then we defined, like, you know, who was in that pre-sale list. We published that information to the contract. So right now, this is our contract as it sits visible on Polygon. So we're going to copy that link address. We're going to go into OpenSea. We're going to paste it. And OpenSea has the ability to view the elements on the blockchain based on what contract address is put in. So now we can click on that contract, and now we can see that contract. So 1 token has been minted with our pre-reveal image. Now, it will take some time to optimize, but bottom line is that profile picture and that banner can easily be edited if you are the owner. If you are the owner of that contract. And then you can change the image, the banner, all the descriptions that would appear on OpenSea. But the basics of it, like you can see, welcome to the home of the sauce on OpenSea, discover the best items in the collection. All of these are just temporary things that you can edit on OpenSea directly. Okay. So there's my token that's minted. It shows that I own the token. There's my image. As you can see, the file size of that image is important. There's no description. There's nothing. There's because the metadata and the information behind that token have not been revealed yet. So you should actually have the Matic in your wallet now. So I'm going to go ahead and we've already stopped the pre-sale list. I'm now going to open it up to a public sale, which when you import all of the variables, it's the same. So here's the thing. when you do these types of drops and you start and you stop and you start and you stop, the contract recognizes all of the tokens that have been minted from it, right? So if I wanted to say how many NFTs there are in this drop, let's just say there's one more NFT available, right? But if I put one in here, it will recognize that only one is eligible to be minted from the contract. Okay. So I need to add however many I want to the number that's already been minted. So one has been minted. I want another one. So therefore this would be 2.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's the cumulative number.
Correct. So we'll leave it at the same price point, the same max per wallet, the same max per transaction. We'll go ahead and we'll start that sale. We'll confirm that transaction. And now anybody who has access to the link will be eligible to mint the NFT.
All right.
So I'll stop sharing. You can share.
All right. How do I get to the link? Can I search for it on OpenSea?
You could, or, you know, being a part of the community, you definitely want to click on trusted links that are provided by the collector, the creator of the collection. Because there are a lot of scams and a lot of things that happen. So you just want to make sure you're clicking on the correct links. So I just sent you the link again for you to select.
Okay, let me share my screen.
So as you can see, the mint now shows 1 out of 2 have been minted because we redefined our max supply to be 2.
Okay. And do I mint through, I don't mint through OpenSea, right? I'm just doing it this way.
You're minting right now through the Nifty Kit app.
Confirm. All right. 2 of 2 minted.
And the collection status will revert because 2 of 2 have minted. It'll revert to sold out. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing the screen.
Okay.
All right. So now in our collection, we show 2 NFTs have been minted, 1 and 2, but they are both still hidden, right? So if we were to go to the collection now, we will now see that there's 2 NFTs. Number 1 and number 2. Okay. So because of and it will show how many owners, how many unique owners, all of the various analytics on OpenSea. That's really a different discussion. So on our collection, now we are ready to reveal, right? All of our tokens have been minted. Now we're just going to reveal that NFT. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to reveal it. Now, this is a really cool feature that Nifty Kit offers, right? It's the ability to reveal certain tokens and not others. Right. So you can, I can say, I want to reveal token 1, but not token 2. So you won't get to see yours.
Cool.
Lots of really cool things that you can do as part of a collection with that. Right. So in this case, we're just going to reveal all of them. We're going to acknowledge. We're going to apply. Now, once they're revealed, you can, using this system, you can actually unreveal them too. But we're going to just keep them revealed so that we can see how they look on the marketplace interface. Reveal successful. So as you can see, the status has now changed to revealed. So if we were to go back to the collection, sometimes this takes a little bit of time just because the metadata has to interact with the marketplace. And this is an extremely complex system. So a couple tricks on refreshing the metadata that hopefully will expedite this. If not, we'll just have to come back in a couple minutes and we'll be able to see it. But bottom line is the metadata itself is revealed for the tokens in the collection. Anybody holding it will then have access. So the metadata itself is available here. So here's where you're going to be able to see that JSON script that we put in. So this is the actual metadata of the NFTs. And once everything is revealed, all of those characteristics, those traits, and those attributes will become available on the system. So let's see if yours reveals before mine.
And how long does it typically take? Like once you hit revealed, is it based on the volume of NFTs in the?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is now in the hands of OpenSea, right? So on the blockchain, everything is revealed. Everything is consistent on the blockchain. But again, we're using this external platform that's just a projection of the blockchain. Sometimes that takes a little bit longer. And we're subjected to, it could happen instantaneously. It could take a couple minutes. I've seen it take a couple hours. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the way that it works. But if you were to pull up other platforms like Rarible or any of that other stuff, you will see that the metadata has been revealed because all it is again, a projection of the actual blockchain itself.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was able to look at the metadata in that script.
Yep. So that's really what defines the token.
Okay. Okay.
So
That's still not revealed for me either.
Yep, we'll keep an eye on it before.
Okay.
Hopefully it will reveal before the end of this chat. So bottom line here is this is where you have the ability to view all of your NFTs, all of your information. Nifty Kit is really starting to create token gated access channels where you can embed onto your own website. But I just want to cover one more thing with respect to the mint. So they offer what is basically an SDK or a widget where you can import a line of code into a standard Web 2 contract and be eligible to import a button to be able to mint. And I'll use my own website just as kind of like a dummy pilot, or a test pilot on this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to edit a page on my site. I have a VS test. So this is where we have our testing mint function. So on our new contract, I can build a widget, and this is what our connect wallet button will look like, right? So let's just say that we want the color palette to be a random one. I don't know what that is, but as you can see, the button colors change, right? So we'll make it green. We can change the font of how we want the button to be revealed with. Font size will make it large, and then we can actually change it. So, hey, mint here. And then we can generate the code. We can even change it from the wallet button to the mint button to the sold out button to the success and the error messages. All that can be adjusted and modified.
And it just spits out an iframe for you to plug that in? Oh, perfect.
So you take that, you bring that back into your site, you copy and paste, then you just update that, and then here you go. There you now your button is fully functional and connected to the Nifty Kit platform.
So that really, like, in essence, means that any website can mint assets through.
This is the differentiator between Nifty Kit and all of the other no code solutions out there. This, I think, is really the thing that separates them from a lot of these other platforms, because in order to connect your wallet on a website, in order to interact with the blockchain on a website, you need a Web3 website, right? You need a Web3 browser. You need a Web3 element that you need to import that connects it to MetaMask, which then can connect it to the blockchain. This does all that in a simple iframe, which connects you to that same mint page we were just at. So it's just
you could really have any custom landing page that you want on any of your websites and have that entire experience just right there,
100%.
Which is amazing. Like, that's huge, I think, for anyone that would be creating something like this, to be able to have their own, like, branding elements around it. I mean, you know me, I'm a creative. And so the first thing I think of is, like, I would want this on my own site. I would totally do that. And so I see how easily you can make it happen. It's literally just a widget. That's so nice.
It's a simple widget. It's very basic. It's very easy to import. I just did it in live time. Obviously, you need to know a little bit about, like coding computers, right? You need to know where to put that stuff. But, you can customize those for anything. And that's what's really cool about it. So the token access channel, I can actually create that, and I can create that onto a page onto my website, so that if you go to that page, you would be forced to connect your wallet. That wallet connection would confirm that you hold a token and therefore give you access to it. It's not the perfect system. There's a lot of flaws with it at this point. So I'm not really the biggest advocator of it, but I know they are making improvements to it, and it's going to allow the system to improve accordingly as well.
It really is simple and like straightforward logic. If you have a little bit of know-how and sensibility around, like, maybe what to look for. And even with this, I feel light years ahead of where I was a few hours ago for starting something like this. I didn't even know where to begin.
I love the fact that they're constantly making improvements to the interface and for the collector. But I also find that, having options as a creator is important, because the times change, the market changes, the economy changes. Like, you want to have the flexibility to be able to constantly add that value proposition to your community. And, in most cases, a lot of those things have to be predetermined before you deploy the contract. The way Nifty Kit, allows these things to happen, most of them are eligible to be modified after deployment, right? So that's really one of the things that stands out to me. The other thing, I guess, is that once you understand all of the pieces of how to build the puzzle, building the puzzle you can get very creative with. You can start playing around with different applications on the metadata, different applications of having sub collections as part of main collections. There's a million different ways that you can kind of play around with the technology that they have currently.
I can totally see it. I mean, just having for myself, having a framework around like, okay, what are the rough steps I need to get from point A to point B, just in terms of getting a collection together and launching a contract through something like Nifty Kit. I immediately now see with that structure in place, like all of the different creative elements with things like the metadata and those custom properties and like, you know, pausing and unpausing a mint, if that's the right words for it. Like there's just so much that can be done. I'm excited to jump in and play around with it. What are all of the different contracts that you've deployed using Nifty Kit?
We've done a few. We've done a few for Vayner Sports Pass, which is a massive collection in the NFT world. We've done a couple with a few different test ones that I told you about. We did 2 separate contracts for the Unfantasy Football League. We did one for the Owner's Pass and one for the playing cards that are actually the mechanics of the game itself. We even took the Battle Bunnies and we redeployed the entire contract. I think at the time there was 1,027 NFTs. So we redeployed all of those to the existing holders using this platform, which therefore opened up the opportunity for us to, have flexibility in announcing next drops, having a max supply that's not really defined by us, but by the community. Just changing all those variables, it opened up a whole different set of worms there.
What's a feature that you don't have access to yet, but you are begging Nifty Kit to create?
I really would like to see a better token gated access channel. I think that's really the next step, because we can take that same, iframe code, embed that on a standard Web 2 website. And now you can get very creative, right? Now you can have, like an e-commerce store that's dedicated to community members only, without having the, hey, what's your password line? You can really just use the token as your identifier that you have access to that. I think that's really one of the most important elements that has to get imported in. I'd like to see some other custom functions be included as well, but they've been very, very successful and creative in coming up with, the trends of the marketplace, the way we saw the OpenSea rarity component earlier. They are on top of their game with this stuff, and I think it's really, really cool to see. And they hold like little AMAs all the time, so they're constantly listening to updates from the community and that kind of stuff. But one of the things they don't have and they outsource is actual generative, right? So the generative art component, being able to create the actual art of the collection with the metadata, they don't have that in-house. They rely on other companies to do that. So maybe there's a all-encompassing solution that they're working on with that as well. I'll just show you that one of the NFTs has revealed.
Oh, yes.
So this is the one that's sitting in my wallet. Yours has not revealed yet, but as you can see, if I clicked on the metadata now, it'll show the description, the name, all the attributes, where that image is stored. In this case, it's on Nifty Kit. It's not on IPFS. And then just some of the various attributes that we added as part of the metadata, right? So we have the details, the descriptions about the sauce, all of those things are the variations of this particular token. So yours has not minted yet. I was hoping it did, because I think that one is the one that has actually housing the metadata.
It is, yes.
Yeah, it's still in the pre-reveal state, but it'll change over time. You'll see it up in there and it'll change. There are practical applications for having the ability to change the art and the metadata too. For example, if somebody in your community gets their NFT stolen, and we've put that to the test very successfully. And it's a game changer in the way that these things can really be perceived.
It's awesome. This was more than I bargained for, more than I thought that I would learn. I guess after breaking down some of the barriers of what's all included and kind of taking it step by step, it really isn't as complicated. And that's the whole goal of a tool like Nifty Kit. I think that it's possible for anyone to do it with just like a little bit of time spent playing around. And I'm
still learning too. I'm still uncovering different tricks like pretty much every week on, you know, just trying to figure out what boundaries we can push with this, right? I mean, we're all in this learning phase, and I think that's really where we're at as the technology continues to evolve. Nifty Kit is not the app on your phone that can make waffles, not yet. But as you can see, it's damn close. And it's closer than really cool. Anything else that's out there right now. If you're a creator, if you're an artist, chances are you don't want to concern yourself with the technology end of it. Right. You want to kind of outsource that. And the easiest solution, just like back in the day, building a website, or even now for the most part, is going out and finding a web developer, a software engineer, just somebody who understands the coding element of it. They're going to ask you a series of onboarding questions, and then they're going to build a contract custom to your specifications. A Nifty Kit is basically, I don't want to say it's eliminating the software engineer from the equation, because it's definitely not. But it's a way to kind of get an understanding of the technology, do things at your own pace, do things within the, I guess, the fence and the perimeter that Nifty Kit has within their contract deployment, and just be able to manage your collection accordingly.